Hey, what's up, party people? This is Paul Clem with the Home Team Brokers coming to you from Portland, Oregon. And in this video, we're going to talk about the Portland, Oregon suburbs with the most walkable downtown areas. So there are some surprises here. There are some areas that were omitted. We're going to talk about all of that. But a lot of people moving to a new area, in particular having their sights set on a suburban area, don't want to totally live in an area that feels like complete suburbia, right? So there's a lot of suburbs in Portland that offer a little downtown area that's walkable with shops and restaurants and entertainment, within either a 5 to 10 minute drive or potentially a place that you can walk to from your doorstep. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about the top 5 Portland, Oregon suburbs with the best downtown areas for walkability, for entertainment, and all that starts now. Okay, let's jump right into this here. So again, somebody moving to Portland metro area that maybe doesn't want to live in Portland or in the city, or maybe you have your sights set on some of the neighborhoods within Portland proper that are a little bit more hip and walkable and have more entertainment, like neighborhoods in Southeast Portland, Northeast Portland, and Northwest Portland in particular. But maybe you want to consider the suburbs and some of the areas surrounding Portland that also maybe have a similar dynamic, but a little more of a laid back suburban feel. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. We've narrowed it down to 5 Portland, Oregon suburbs that have little downtown areas that are walkable and really have a lot to offer. So you don't necessarily need to drive 20-30 minutes to get to a quote unquote entertainment district. You can have it all right there. Now, I'm going to go over some honorable mentions at the end of this list, so stick around to learn what those are. There are some areas that were just altogether omitted from this list. Happy Valley, Tualatin, Wilsonville. These are really nice suburban areas with a lot of really desirable attributes. I mean, Happy Valley, Wilsonville, Tualatin, these are areas that are, more or less newly developed in the past 15, 20, 25 years, and have a really nice clean feel to it, really well laid out. These areas do check a lot of boxes for people, but they're definitely lacking a cohesive downtown area. So, there's probably different reasons for that. Great areas, but we're going to leave those out of this list. Now, if this is your first time to the channel or you've been here and you haven't already and you want to get more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap that little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. And we've helped so many people relocate to Oregon and move to the Portland metro area. As real estate professionals, we love to help with that process. So if that's you, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click that link down below in the description of the video and schedule a Zoom call with us. Either way, we would love to help with your move to the Portland area. Oh, it looks like I'm joined by a high chair here. Let me get that out. All right, so let's jump right into it. So number 5 on this list is Oregon City. Oregon City is one of the older towns in the Portland metro area. This is the end of the Oregon Trail. There's a lot of rich history here. The downtown area is right on the river, but Oregon City itself, in particular, the entire zip code, so some of the unincorporated areas that are still in an Oregon City address, that's a pretty big area overall. You do have some dense suburban areas, you have some older neighborhoods, and you have some rural areas as well. But you have this little downtown area that, for a long time, in recent years and recent decades, has seemed to feel a little bit more downtrodden or depressed, where, not every commercial space is filled. That, didn't really give off the impression that this is an area that is really thriving and an area that a lot of people would necessarily want to be hanging out. But in recent years, the last maybe 5 or 10 years, there seems to have been this rejuvenation in downtown Oregon City. And you have these really great food carts, this food cart pod that's there. You have Oregon City Brewing. You have, I believe, another brewery. You have some Portland restaurants coming in and setting up shop there. And it's just a really cool area aesthetically because it's this old town, right? So you have these old buildings. It looks like this little small town, but you're only 20, 25 minutes away from downtown Portland. So you're in this big major metro area, but you have this small little old town area that's right on the Willamette River. You have the Willamette Falls right there. So you also have the old paper mill there. I think there's a couple of them. I'm not sure if either of them are operating. I know at least one is not, but it's really cool scenery there. Right there on the river. There's a McMenamins location. Again, there's a ton of restaurants, there's coffee shops, there's some shopping, and it really is a cool little area. Now, if you're living in Oregon City, there are some neighborhoods right around the downtown area. A lot of where people might be moving to in Oregon City might be up on the hill and a little bit further away, but you're going to be able to drive to downtown Oregon City in 5-10 minutes. So very accessible anywhere you would be living in Oregon City. And probably, honestly, a little bit of an underrated downtown area when you look at all of the Portland suburbs as a whole. Let's take a look. All right, next on the list, number 4 on the list is West Linn. So you have this old town area called Willamette in West Linn, which is part of West Linn. It's kind of like a subdivision or area that is referred to as Willamette. There is some history there that you can look up and kind of see how that transpired, as West Linn was incorporated. But at any rate, on the southernmost point of West Linn, also on the Willamette River and not too far from Oregon City, Oregon City being on the east side of the river, West Linn being on the west side of the river, you have this main street, Willamette Falls Drive, where you have probably the better part of 10 blocks of commercial development and a lot of old structures, older buildings, newer structures, newer buildings. They've put in a food cart pod. There's like little Cooperstown, the little sports bar. There's some nicer restaurants, some more fast casual stuff there. And overall, I mean, especially with some of the work that they've been doing in this area with, pedestrian walkways and things like that, just developing the sidewalk. It's starting to have a little more of an upscale feel. West Linn overall is an area that has a little more of an upscale feel as a suburb of Portland as a whole. And so this downtown Willamette area certainly matches that aesthetic. It's probably on a smaller scale than some of the areas that we'll talk about on this list. But it's just a flat stretch of a main street, where a lot of people go to congregate. I think one of the differences with West Linn and downtown Willamette is that you're probably going to get a much higher volume or larger percentage of people frequenting this area who are just local to West Linn. Maybe people who live down in the Stafford area too, for example. Maybe even people coming in from Oregon City because you can cross the bridge right there. But there are some other areas on this list that we'll talk about that probably draw people in from all over the Portland metro area to go out to dinner, to go shopping, to go hang out. Whereas West Linn, probably a little more community oriented, probably a little more local overall as far as its appeal. I wouldn't imagine that as many people are coming out and getting into downtown Willamette, just to go hang out. But I'm sure that does happen as well. But either way, an incredible little downtown area. If you lived in West Linn, this area is very accessible, either on foot, bike, driving, whatever it may be. And it's a great area to hang out. Let's check it out. All right, next on the list we have Hillsboro. So downtown Hillsboro is another area that I think is a little bit under the radar and underrated, kind of like in Oregon City. It's similar in size to downtown Oregon City. It's this old small town that's really cool with local shops and restaurants. And you have a lot of stuff coming in from Portland, in particular some of the breweries and restaurants that started in Portland are coming out to this downtown Hillsboro area. You have food cart pods and a lot of great entertainment, again, shopping. There's just so much to do here in downtown Hillsboro. Part of at least one of the reasons, why I would say it flies under the radar a little bit is because you are as far west as you can get in Hillsboro. So Hillsboro in and of itself is already on the westernmost point of the Portland metro area. So people coming from, south or kind of central Portland or the east side of the river in particular, it's going to be tough to get over to Hillsboro. And you're tacking on another 10 minutes, once you get to Hillsboro city limits to actually get over to that old town, downtown area, but very picturesque, old town area. And it's really been well preserved. I don't know how much development and rejuvenation, has gone on. I think it's always been a relatively thriving little downtown area. And it really feels like a little bit of a time capsule in a way because of that. So again, you have a lot of great local shops and restaurants, coffee, breweries, a lot of stuff that you would want to do day to day in terms of entertainment. Right there in downtown Hillsboro. So that's a really cool area. And I have to mention, when we talk about Hillsboro, there's also an area called Oregon Station, which is a newer master plan community development with a little town square, town center with a ton of commercial buildings and shops, restaurants, all the things that people would want to get out and do in a walkable area. So Oregon Station in and of itself is almost like the new downtown Hillsboro a little bit, very desirable. There's condos and townhomes there and smaller homes, but you do have some areas with much larger homes as well near Oregon Station. So Oregon Station in Hillsboro, very desirable, very walkable area, but it's not that true downtown area, in particular an old town area like you have in downtown Hillsboro. And those are the types of areas that we're covering on this list. So let's check out Hillsboro. Next on the list, coming in at number 2, is Lake Oswego. So downtown Lake Oswego has gone under massive development and revitalization and rejuvenation over the past 5, 10, 15 years. It's always been a really cool little downtown area right on the Willamette River, just north of West Linn, but really just about 10, 12 minutes south of downtown Portland. It's very accessible from all of Southwest Portland, but even from Tualatin, Tigard, so it draws a lot of people in. But with what they've done in recent years, this area is probably the most impressive little downtown area that you have in terms of suburbs in the Portland metro area. There's a few square blocks there right by Millennium Park and where all the restaurants are and everything. And it feels like you're in like a little ski village, like in, like an Aspen or a Whistler or something like that. Probably a little bit on a smaller scale, but it feels very upscale. It has a resort type feeling to it. And Lake Oswego, as you may know, is the highest priced area in the Portland metro area. Definitely has the highest quantity of luxury real estate, but I think just in terms of the lifestyle, the area overall, the amenities, again, going to be a little bit more on the upscale side. But you can go hang out in downtown Lake Oswego, and there's plenty of restaurants. There's the Breakside Brewery there, Salt and Straw ice cream. I mean, there's a lot you can do there, that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg necessarily. So it's not super exclusive. It doesn't feel like that when you're hanging out in this area. But again, it does have a really nice, impressive look to it overall. And again, it's a place that is really going to draw people in from all over the Portland metro area to come and hang out. Let's give it a look. Okay, next and number 1 on the list, this might be a little controversial, Beaverton. So Beaverton is an enormous suburb like Hillsboro, and Beaverton has a central Beaverton Old Town, downtown area right smack in the middle of Beaverton. There are other areas of Beaverton too, like Progress Ridge on the farthest south point of Beaverton when you get into like Murray Hill and Neighbor Southwest, or up north around areas like Bethany and Cedar Mill have little shopping villages and areas that are continuing to develop and very walkable, a lot of great amenities and great restaurants and things like that. But this Old Town, kind of central downtown Beaverton area has turned around so much in the past couple of decades. It's gotten to a point now where it has to be number one on this list, and I'll tell you why. So you have maybe about an 8 square block area where it feels like every couple of months there's a great new restaurant coming in. There's breweries going in there, there's shopping, there's wine bars, there's coffee shops. And it's not just any old restaurant or restaurants either. A lot of these businesses that are coming into downtown Beaverton are very popular, well-established Portland restaurants or breweries, for example, that are coming into this Beaverton area. So, from a commercial standpoint, the potential, has been very evident, and it's really kind of grown into this place that is really bustling. It's got something for everybody, whether you are young, single professional, have a family, older, retired, anything in between. I mean, there's a lot of tap rooms and restaurants around there that we bring our young kids to all the time. And then not too far from this downtown Beaverton area, you have the BG Food Cartel, the food carts, which is really the biggest, most impressive food cart pod in the Portland metro area. As far as I'm concerned, Happy Valley might have something to say about that. Even the one in Oregon City is great. And of course, all the great food cart pods in Portland. You can't go wrong, but this place has like 25 food carts. It's got these big turf lawns. Kids are running around. It's a huge piece of property. It's a great place to spend an afternoon, get lunch, get dinner, whatever it may be. And it's walking distance from this little Old Town area. Now you can continue north in central Beaverton and you get into Cedar Hills. And Cedar Hills has, developed so much in recent years. It's a little more of a strip mall type feel, but there's a lot of great retail shopping. You have a lot of great restaurants in this area. And this is an area that has become really, really popular. I mean, Shake Shack has gone in there. Bamboo Sushi, which is like the best sushi in Portland, put in a location there. Salt and Straw Ice Cream. Remember, we said there was one in Lake Oswego. They went in there to Cedar Hills as well. And if you look on a map, Cedar Hills and downtown Beaverton are really just connected. It's one continues into the other. And so this area overall in central Beaverton, I think, offers the most entertainment, food, dining, going out to get a drink, taking the kids out to do stuff, getting out, walking around. This area has the largest volume of that of any Portland area suburb that you can find. So that's why it's landed number one on this list. When I was growing up, Beaverton was not a happening place. Great place to live, great place for families, all that stuff, great neighborhoods, but this central Beaverton area, it didn't necessarily have a bad reputation, but was nowhere near what it is like today. So really cool spot. If you're looking to live in a suburb in Portland where you can quickly and easily get to a very walkable area with almost a little bit of an urban feel, but not be in the big city and, not be in Portland, Beaverton's going to have a lot of great options for you. Before we run out of time here, we've got to talk about some honorable mentions. So there are definitely some suburbs in Portland that have these central downtown areas that you don't have anything wrong with them by any means, but just don't offer quite the same amount of things to do as what we talked about on this list. So Oregon City, West Linn, Hillsboro, Lake Oswego, Beaverton, those are going to be your top spots. But Tigard, a great Portland suburb, has a little downtown area that is starting to turn over a bit. Tigard Tap House, it's a great area to hang out. The Beach Hut Deli, some of the best sandwiches you can get in all of the Portland metro area. There's a furniture shop, there's a liquor store, there's a few things, there's a coffee shop, but there's just not that much there right now. But the potential is there. I could see Tigard, downtown Tigard, being an area that really develops sooner than later, and could become an area that is contending for a spot on this list. Sherwood as well. Sherwood is an area a lot like Wilsonville that has really developed in the past 20 years. This was a small town kind of on the outskirts of Portland, at one point outside beyond the urban growth boundary. And as the Portland metro area kind of gobbled it up, now you have all these nice newer developments. It's a really great community, really highly desirable place to live. And it has this little old town, downtown area that is about as picturesque as any in the Portland metro area. It reminds me a little bit of the downtown Hillsboro area, maybe a little bit on a smaller scale. It's only about maybe 5-6 square blocks, something like that at most. This little downtown Sherwood area, and it doesn't offer all that much in the way of restaurants, shopping, bars, the walkable stuff, the things that you would get out and do. But you can live in Sherwood and walk to this downtown area, surrounded by residential space. So you can definitely get that dynamic in Sherwood. And lastly, downtown Milwaukee. I mean, this is a place that some people might argue should be on this list. Similarly, a cool, picturesque little old town, downtown area right on the Willamette River, across the river from Lake Oswego, Milwaukee being on the east side of the river. There are some restaurants there. There is a great park with riverfront access. You can walk along the river. There's nothing wrong with it. But when we're just looking at the volume of overall entertainment that these areas offer, Milwaukee is going to be on a little bit of a smaller scale. I think one of the biggest redeeming qualities for Milwaukee, living in Milwaukee overall, and maybe being close to the downtown area, is that you can get up into Portland and up into a lot of these really hip, cool neighborhoods in Southeast Portland in particular, but even up into downtown Portland very quickly, very easily, probably less than 10 minutes depending on the time of day. So downtown Milwaukee, there's definitely a lot there to offer, but just not quite enough to put it on this list. Now, if you're thinking about moving to the Portland metro area, if you're looking for an area that is a little more bustling, has a little more to offer, that you can easily get out and go get lunch, get dinner, walk around, whatever it may be, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click the link down below in the description of the video, schedule a Zoom call with us, and we can talk about what areas might suit your needs best, relative to where you might be working, or based on your budget, and the median sale price in a particular area. We can connect the dots and start looking at areas that are going to offer the type of lifestyle that you're looking for, at the right price, etc., and put together a game plan so when the time comes, we can really hit the ground running. Now, if this video is helpful, make sure to hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. If you want to get more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. As always, we really appreciate you watching, and until next time, we'll talk to you later.